Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. HBO just released The Last of Us Season 2 teaser to announce that they've renewed the show. Neil Druckmann has talked a lot about their plans for what they're going to be doing with the story for Season 2, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the episodes. Be sure to subscribe to get them. We're also doing a giveaway for HBO Max subscriptions. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and let me know what you want them to do in Season 2. Please don't post a bunch of spoilers for what happens during The Last of Us 2. There's a lot of people that haven't played the game yet. And careful for spoilers for everything that's happened on the show so far. I'm not going to go too deep into the story of the game just because of me posting this video. Only 2 episodes have aired so far. And there are a lot of people out there that never played the games and are just seeing this all happen for the first time on the show. But if you haven't played the games, I've talked about this in my previous episode videos, but the show is basically following the games pretty closely with a few changes. There might be some bigger changes in later episodes that we haven't seen yet, but mostly it's following the games. There are currently 2 Last of Us games. Neil Druckmann actually recently started talking about The Last of Us 3, and they're also in the middle of making The Last of Us multiplayer game, which is like additional characters and brand new story. So there is theoretically way more additional canonical material for them to adapt for the show. But this is what Neil Druckmann said about Last of Us 3, just because that would be like the next logical place for the story to pick up in future seasons after they finish the story of Part 2. He says, our process is the same thing we did when we did Part 2, which is if we can come up with a compelling story that has universal message and statement about love, just like the first and the second game did, then we will tell that story. If we can't come up with something, we have a very strong ending with Part 2, and that will be the end. I think he's just pulling the taffy a little bit with that because a lot of the people who made The Last of Us 2 game, particularly Neil Druckmann, said that they regret revealing that they were making the game so early. Fans found out that they were making the second game relatively soon after them releasing the first game. Usually studios wait a bit longer before they reveal that. So I think with the show hitting so big and being so popular in Season 1 so far, they just want to wait a little while longer before they say, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to be doing The Last of Us 3. There'll be way more story for more seasons after that. But based on the 2 games that they currently have, they said that Season 1 is meant to cover the entire story of just the first game. And they plan on breaking up the story of the second game, The Last of Us 2, across multiple seasons. They could break it into 2 seasons, they could break it into 3 seasons if they wanted to, because the story of the second game is so much bigger than the first. They're basically doing for The Last of Us what they did for House of the Dragon. In George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones universe, House of the Dragon is meant to be just the story of the Targaryen family taken from his Fire and Blood book. But the events of the first prequel show, like the House of the Dragon episodes I've been doing videos for, is just for the Dance of the Dragons, and all the book material for that only covers a couple of short novellas with very little actual book material compared to what they had to adapt for the original Game of Thrones episodes with the main A Song of Ice and Fire novels. So what they've been doing with House of the Dragon, and what they've also started to do during The Last of Us Season 1, is they've greatly expanded on moments from the original story, so they get way more episodes and seasons out of it. Really good examples of this during The Last of Us. Episode 3 is meant to primarily be a Bill and Frank episode based on just the next part of where the story picks up after Episode 2, in the games right after Joel and Ellie escape Boston. During that part of the story in the game, they were just going to Bill's to find a car that would take them to Joel's brother's settlement in Wyoming so he could check and see if he was okay, because Tommy used to be a Firefly. Joel also thought that he could help Ellie find the rest of the Fireflies, who'd theoretically be able to use her to create a vaccine for the fungus. There were a couple events during that part of the game, but all in all, in the game, the encounter with Bill doesn't really last that long, and it's mostly just a short series of missions going around collecting parts for an old car of Bill's to try and get it to start so they can continue their quest. And all of their scenes with Bill are very brief in comparison. But on the show, no spoilers because of me posting this video, the episode hasn't aired yet, but on the show, what they did is make a bunch of changes and add a whole series of flashbacks in episode 3 to explain Bill and Frank's backstory that covers most of the episode. And the actual episode is extra long. Normal episodes are around 45 minutes, like episode 2 was a little bit shorter, even though it was meant to be a relatively normal length. People are just expecting super long episodes all over the place now. Episode 3 is a full 115 minutes, more like episode 1, like a short movie. They also changed a bunch of Bill and Frank's backstory for the episode 2, in the things that happen to them and the way that Bill interacts with Joel, but it is a massive improvement to what the story from the original game was. The bigger, expanded, slightly different version they did on the show was amazing, S tier. And for anyone who has seen the story of the second game, Last of Us 2, or even just seen some of the game, this bodes extremely well for future seasons. While everyone loves the story of the first game, we're seeing that play out over Season 1. It's an amazing game. They actually say after the first couple of episodes, sales of that first game spiked big time. The Last of Us 2 game was extremely controversial in comparison. People either loved it or they hated it, and people who hated it really hated it. It was extremely polarizing. But here's why all the changes they're making during Season 1 make me way more hyped for Season 2 and beyond, because if they can make the original story of the first game so much better with all their changes and expansions on certain characters, they can do the same thing for Season 2. Without getting into spoilers, there's a moment during The Last of Us 2, about 30% of the way through the game. It's a huge WTF moment and one of the best places for them to end Season 2, depending on how fast they want to blow through the story. So they can get even more than 2 seasons out of the second game if they want to. The entire story of that second game is way, way longer than the first one, which is why it's so easy for them to break into pieces. A lot of the themes are the same as Season 1, like Neil Druckmann talks about The Last of Us 3, like as long as the same themes continue and we can find a good story, we will make The Last of Us 3. It continues to be about people trying to survive, find redemption, forgiveness, and love amidst the fungus, the apocalypse. There is a 5-year time jump between the end of Season 1 and what will probably be their starting point in Season 2. And the young actress playing Ellie, Bella Ramsey, she was on the original Game of Thrones series with Pedro Pascal too. They even talked about it recently.
Item from the Game of Thrones world would you bring to The Last of Us?
I really loved my robe.
I knew you were going to say it. This is why I said clothing.
I'm telling you.
What about you?
I liked my armor from Season 8.
Yeah.
They didn't actually share any scenes together because she played the little bear, Lyanna Mormont, and Pedro Pascal played Oberyn Martell, and his character was only in Season 4 and never visited the North, so the characters never had any reason to have scenes together. But Ellie's meant to be about 14 during the events of Season 1, and she'd be 19 when Season 2 picks up, unless they move the timeline a little bit, and I'm not expecting them to do that. They did add a couple extra flashbacks during Episode 1, one to the 1960s at the beginning with the scientists talking about the potential for the cordyceps fungus to become a threat, then another much bigger version of Joel's backstory to explain how everything happened, how he got to Boston. So they might do something similar at the beginning of Season 2 with them or with other characters. A 5-year time jump leaves a lot for them to cover. But in real life, Bella Ramsey is 19 right now. They filmed Season 1 last year, so she would only been 18 when all these scenes were happening. Even though she looks like a little girl, she has this very petite, childlike look about her. It's way easier for them to use some minor makeup effects to make her look like an older teenager. They've been using her costumes and makeup to age her down just a little bit for Season 1. She already looks kind of like a little girl, so it's not that hard. This was Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog's plan for Ellie in the video games too. She was voiced by Ashley Johnson, who voices a lot of very young, very petite characters. But her actual physical character model was based on Ellen Page, now called Elliot Page, but that was more than 10 years ago when they made that first game. And at the time, Ellen Page had a very childlike appearance. The funny thing is, they didn't admit this was the case, that they based Ellie on her until a few years ago. Like a long time went by before they were public about it. Like, oh yeah, that was meant to be Ellen Page. But when the game was actually released, fans noticed pretty quickly, like, oh, Ellie looks a lot like Ellen Page. If they ever make the Last of Us series, she should be played by Ellen Page. The reason why she's not Ellie on the show right now is because it took so long for them to actually make the show that she's now 35 years old, and she is Elliot Page. The other real big thing about The Last of Us Season 2 right now, fans are convinced that they've discovered HBO is casting Abby from the games, and it's going to be played by actress Shannon Barry. Neil Druckmann recently followed her on Instagram. Craig Mazin, the showrunner, hasn't yet, but he barely follows anyone, and the actress just followed Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, Neil Druckmann, and the official Last of Us account on her Instagram. If you remember, actors do dumb stuff like this on social media all the time, inadvertently revealing casting information. Jamie Foxx famously did it for Spider-Man No Way Home. The year before the movie came out, when we were all still guessing that Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and the Sinister Six characters from their movies were coming back, Jamie Foxx's casting was announced publicly, but they didn't say who he was playing, and at the time the trades dropped the news, he posted a couple Spider-Verse fan art pictures on his Instagram with all 3 Spider-Men and Electro. So everyone was like, this feels like confirmation that Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield are definitely coming back, and it had been a rumor up to that point. He quickly deleted the Instagram post and then joked about it during press for the movie. Like, yeah, I definitely gave that away. So fans are just convinced that something is going on with The Last of Us Season 2 in Abby's casting. She's a very important character during Season 2 without getting into spoiler territory, in her storyline how she gets involved with the main characters. It would be one of the key places for the show to make some changes from the original game story and expand on it greatly. Lots of room for improvement with Abby's storyline. Right now, based on when they start filming The Last of Us Season 2, they wouldn't be able to release it until the end of next year or early 2025. It takes them a little over a year to turn a season around now, and it's the same problem that they have with House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon Season 2 just started pre-production. They're going to be filming for most of this year. They won't be releasing it until summer of next year. We're still in the middle of The Last of Us Season 1 episodes right now, so I'll be doing my regular episode videos for that every week. But after the finale does air, I will continue to do Season 2 videos as we get more details and footage, just like I've been doing for House of the Dragon Season 2. I've already done a bunch of House of the Dragon Season 2 videos, so I'll put links for those in the description below and at the end of this. HBO is usually pretty good about releasing teasers and trailers for all this stuff, and we get a lot of footage from the set when they're filming. My full Last of Us Episode 3 video will post Sunday after they release it, and my Last of Us Episode 4 trailer video will post after that. Be sure to watch the episode as soon as it drops. It is going to be awesome. Everyone post all your theories about Season 2 in the comments if you have any big questions or anything you want me to address in future videos. Everyone click here for my Last of Us Episode 3 video. I'll update the link as soon as I post that. And click here for my House of the Dragon Season 2 teaser trailer video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe.